Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today on the Yoga Piano page. Um, we are experiencing with something new today. I certainly am doing something new. So I'm grateful that y'all have come forward to experience this with me. I'm just going to go ahead and explain what really this is all about. Meditations in music. So this is a new type of class that we'll be doing uh, maybe once every 2 weeks. We'll be checking in. I'm going to share some thoughts that I've have about meditation and music and how they correlate and come together. And you can take some of these exercises and try them at home, obviously, since we're all home in quarantine, and get back to me, see how it feels. And really, this is a conversation. These classes, these sessions that we're going to have are really just an opportunity to discuss something so beautiful and so deep about music. So, what type of class is this? First of all, who who am I? I'm Matisse, and as I'm sure of you, most of you know me as being a musician, being a piano player that plays with people's bands, in my band, or a musician. And that's definitely who I am and what I've done. But I've also have grown up as a kid in a household where people have been very interested in meditation, probably in a similar fashion that some people have grown up with certain religions, whether it's Christianity or anything in that direction. But the thing is that I didn't really grow up with meditation as something to do with religion. It was more of a ideology, more of a tool to use to help your mind. So this all came from my mother, who's very deep in the game now, and I'm so happy that she's shared it with me because it's helped me kind of keep me centering throughout this time, particularly this particular time now, but also in when I've been on tour, when I've needed moments of solace, these or when I've wanted to be ready before playing a show. Meditation has been with me the whole time, and there's a lot of similarities between meditation and prayer. So we are thanking the mother. I am thanking my mother, and really, this class is about putting this into one. It's about putting music and meditation into one. And it's about discovering that with you and with myself, and finally having a place to talk about it and to discuss it. So, who will these classes be for? These classes will be for musicians and non-musicians. Let me talk about the musicians first. Have As a musician, we have two things in our relationship with music. We have the practice, and then we have the performance. Two very separate things, but two things that can't happen without the other. The same goes with meditation. You have to practice meditation in order to use it in your everyday life. So these classes are for musicians who are playing an instrument in front of people so that we can start really delving into what is going on within the body in those moments while we are playing for people, while we are giving music to the people. What is happening with our intent, with what we're wishing, and how do we get there. This is what I would like to be talking about in these classes. You know, have you ever had, as a performer, the feeling after playing a show that went totally wrong, that didn't go how I was expecting it to go? I felt like I wasn't in control. These are things that you can say. That's a point of interest for me. Why is that? Why does it feel that sometimes when we're playing, we're in control, and other times we're not in control? Even more interestingly, why is it that sometimes things go well and we're not in control? That's the ultimate one, isn't it? You can play a show, you haven't been in control, and it went great. What does that mean? You know, what are the reasons behind this? So that is how I would like to relate to the musician in this. To the non-musician, and by non-musician I mean someone who is not playing music in front of people in terms of hobby or as their job. This is a means, in a way, to use music to help us gain a deeper relationship and understanding with ourselves. That is how I would like these classes to benefit you. How can we get healing with music? So, not just on your own meditating or praying, how can we start to use music as a tool to discover ourselves? And that's why it's also valid for non-musicians. Also, these classes will hopefully help you pick up an instrument. Maybe you have fears of your inability to play an instrument, thought patterns that you've had before about that. The point is, this is a safe space to allow you to begin making that connection with the instrument, with the music. With music, hopefully we'll be able to connect with who we truly are. Cool. So, what are we going to cover in these classes? What we're really going to be talking about is the listener. And the listener that is within each and every single one of us. Not not the person who is listening to the listening, but the listener. And I'll give clear explanations of what that means. First, we're going to understand what meditation is before we can start putting it with music. We're going to cover the basics of meditation, and then we will incorporate it with music. Eventually, maybe we'll start each class with a bit of collective meditation, where I'll meditate for 10 minutes with you, and then we'll get into the exercises that I've put together. For non-musicians, we will use practices that will allow you to get closer to music. The important thing, and this is really the most important part about this, is that I'm not going to be talking about the materialisms of music. By materialisms of music, I mean I'm not going to be talking about theory or harmony and stuff like that. That is something else that you can learn in a different class. I don't teach that. I guess I could if I wanted to, but that's not really what's interesting me. about this conversation. Um, we are not going to be talking about that. We're talking about the meta that is happening above this, right? We're talking about what's happening underneath all this stuff that you've probably learned at school, like I did. And that's cool. That those are great things, but that's not what we be covering. We're going to be talking about listening and what it means to listen to music and how to truly enjoy it without any preconceived ideas. And this is also so that we can all grow as people and that we can all get deeper and find out who we truly are. Now, I'm going to talk about one more thing before we start getting into the nits and grits of it all. Why I want to do this. I really want to do this for a few reasons. First of all, is by the request and the encouragement of my friends who have said, you've been doing this, so how about you share some stuff? I also want to do this because there are many stories that I know of that are really sad about people and their relationship with music. For instance, people have developed their own relationship with music growing up as a kid. Then they come to New York City, or they come to any city, they come to a school, and then they start receiving all this energy about music. They start receiving the materialisms of music. These are the ones and twos. This is what you have to believe. This is good and bad. This is bad and good. So that once they're done with school, they have lost the connection that they had originally with music. And they don't even want to play music anymore. And that's upsetting. That's one of the reasons why I would also like to do this. Mainly because I've also been part of that program. I've been in music schools for as long as I can remember, taking in all the materialisms and the facts of music. And I think that's why I've grown such a huge interest on, I guess, the spirituality of music. That's probably the only time that I'm going to use that word. Because it's not really about that. It's not really about religion or spirituality. It's just more about awareness so that we can all start playing our true music to ourselves. So that we can start being true to why it is that we want to play music. The other reason why I really want to start talking about this is because of the times that we're living in now. The coronavirus times. We're all quarantined at home. We're all with our phones trying to figure out what it is we're trying to do. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to start to connect with ourselves, myself included. So with that in mind, it made me think of what do I want to be like when I can go back out there. What do I want to shed away, beliefs that have kept me from improving. And I don't mean improving technically or improving knowing more deep things about music. I really mean improving, being more at one with, in sync with my mind and my body, to be able to make a music that I feel love for. And I really mean this because sometimes people play music and and they're not really realizing that they're trying to play something that doesn't belong to them, and it keeps them frustrated. So that kind of situation has inspired me to do this. And lastly, I'd like to do this because it pushes me, and it helps me grow to discover more things, and it makes me want to go learn more, and go listen more, and have real conversations with people, and hopefully real conversations with you. You can write anything you want in the comments of where you're at with this practice. So I've spoken now for about 20 minutes, and there's another segment to this where I'll start giving some exercises, but we're going to do a quick little music break. All right. So I just spoke to you about what we're going to cover, what type of class this is, why I want to do this. And I hope that this is sunk in a little bit. So now I'm just going to play a bit of music, just one song. Okay. Anyone know that song? It's called Lotus Blossom by Duke Ellington. All right. So, let's start getting into the meat and sausages then, shall we? So, those of you that are joining us, I was talking before that little musical interlude of what type of class this is, who's it for, musicians and non-musicians. What will we cover? We will cover exercises that allow us with music to find where the listening place is within us. And why I want to do this, because I think it's just love at the end of the day. So let's talk about meditation. It's called meditations in music. So let's look at those two words. Meditation. What is meditation? Meditation is something that is so ancient. Oh, Monsieur Arthur Chapelle, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Meditation, I like to put it, is space, the acknowledgement of space. And space is something that exists in all languages, all art forms, in all dimensions. In order to speak a language, you need space in between words to create sentences and paragraphs. You need to have space in between you and another person, actual physical space, in order for you two to perceive each other. So meditation is the study of that space. And since we all share that on such a huge scale, that is what makes it so interesting. And that's why people have studied it and gone on to try really to identify it in different religions, either through religion or just as a hobby with friends. Like anything, we have to get the technique right. So as you begin to meditate, you have to first of all find your position. I like to do this in the traditional position of the lotus, which is why I picked that Duke Ellington song, Lotus Blossom. There's something amazing about the lotus. Now, I understand that for some people, it's physically not possible to get into the lotus position. So the main thing is to get in a position that is firm and comfortable, but not so comfortable that you're going to start falling asleep, right? The lotus position is you want to be sitting on your bottom, right? And your legs want to be crossed in a way that doesn't cut the circulation from your feet and your legs. Your back, you want it to be straight. You don't want it to be uptight, and you don't want to be too loose. You just want to be flexible with your back. And your eyes, you want to be looking out in front of you about 4 feet. Not open like this and not shut, but slightly open and looking down. The reason why they shouldn't be shut, and this is something that I learned when I went to a Shambhala training as a teenager, is because meditation is a tool to allow us to take in the world as it is. There are, of course, different types of meditation that allow us to use imagination, and those are wonderful too. But in this particular instance, I would like to talk about meditation to help us be real with what is actually going on around us, so that you can take these tools on the subway or before a show, and even better, during a show and after the show. but we'll get into that. So you want to look out in front of you in your comfortable position, and we're going to start breathing. And the breathing is not meditating. Breathing is the mechanics of meditating, right? So what is a mechanic? Mechanics is something that keeps going, right? The motor of a car, it keeps going. Well, this is the one that we have in our bodies. So while you're in your position, you start breathing, and there are 4 points to the breath. The two obvious ones is in and out. Okay? So while you're breathing, we are not thinking in and out. The beautiful thing about breathing is that we can do it without thinking about it. As a matter of fact, most of the time we are not thinking about our breath. But it's interesting that once we start meditating and we are starting to feel the breath, we have to start thinking about it. So that's going to be the trick, the deeper we get into this. The other 2 points of the breath is the point when you have taken all the air in and you're about to breathe out. There's a split second there where you're not doing either or the other. It's just space and potential. Notice that moment at the 2 points. Then and then. There is a split point in our breaths that we sometimes forget about. These are actually techniques that I've read and I've been taught, and if you're interested in knowing where I've learned them, I can send you some book references. So now that we're getting comfortable with the mechanics of meditation, we want to just start letting it happen. So we're breathing and we're letting the mechanics go in. We are feeling the freshness of the air come through our neck, out of our nose. We are feeling our chest go up and go down. It's very simple, but it's so complicated, because while you're going to start doing this, your brain is going to start thinking, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to do this. This is boring. You might feel angry. You're going to start seeing some pictures. Even though your eyes are open, you're going to start seeing things. Maybe you'll see pictures of your family. And that's okay, because these are going to be the objects in your space. They're going to come and they're going to go. You're going to let them, you're not going to stop yourself from having them, but you're going to let it pass. So if you feel anger, you're going to feel anger. It'll come and then it'll go. If you feel stressed out or nervous, it'll come and then it'll go. So let's try that just for a little bit. Be in your position. And gaze down in front of you slightly. Notice the 4 points of your breath. In, space, out, space. And your only goal at this very moment is to just do that. And if thoughts and pictures arise, you don't stop them. You let them come and you let them go. What we're going to be doing at this very moment is we are finally getting in touch with what we really want to be dealing with ourselves. Things that we are trying to run away from in our everyday activities. We're finally letting ourselves have the chance to face them. So when I first got into these exercises, we literally spent hours every day doing this. I'm not going to do this now. We're just explaining. This is the introduction class of what we're going to be doing. Now we've spoken about meditation and the purpose of the breath as the mechanics of meditation. Let me just explain one more time, because this is really important, and this is how we're going to connect it to music. You don't need to think about breathing to make it happen. It just happens. This is the same thing with music, okay? There's the breathing, and then there's the thinking of the breathing. And that relationship is the basis of what we're going to move with. So let's move ahead, and now let's add music. Now, what is music? Music is a set of vibrations working together to make what I like to call a sonic body. A sonic body is the way that I picture sound. It takes a shape. So if you listen to a quartet, you hear the piano, the bass, the drums, and the trumpet. And while they're all playing together, it creates a celestial sonic body. This celestial body exists everywhere. If you hear two people arguing together, it creates this one sound. If you are outside and you listen to the street, you listen to the cars and the honking and then the people shouting, that the celestial sonic body of that street becomes one. So music is actually more than just putting on your favorite track. Music, because it's a set of vibrations coming together, is existing everywhere. So as we continue, let's assume that music is that and more than just playing a track. So you see, while we were meditating earlier, very quickly, it's easy to feel angst. You know, you just want to get up and do things. And that's a great thing. The point of meditating is that once you're done doing it, you have all this life juice and all this wanting to go and make things, go and be creative. And that's the whole point. That's really what we want to get to. We want to become comfortable, and we want to be in a place where we want to create and where we want to do things. Which means that if on a particular day you feel low in energy, if you're developing the right practice with your meditation, you can meditate, and by the time that you're done, it's time for you to go and practice. Now to go and be. The thing that is difficult is to know when you're truly ready to finish your practice and when you're not. That is why it's nice to have things to help you keep a track of where you're at. So this, for me, my whole meditation practice goes one full circle. Each of these represents a breath, and then each of these represents a certain obstacle. So we'll get to that in another class of what I mean by obstacle, which actually reminds me that meditation is not mental acrobatics. It's also not being zonked out. It's a balance. It's a beautiful, disciplined awareness in between. So using the analogy of this, let's now apply it to music. And we'll use one note. Okay? We're going to use B today. Now, we're trying to connect to music. Music that's a vibration. So let's say we're trying to connect to vibration on a deeper scale. For these exercises, I strongly suggest that you get a pen and some paper. even now if you want to. So you can write it down and see how you feel. This is exercise number 1. So remembering your breath, remembering the mechanics of your body. We're going to go to the piano. We're going to put the pedal down. And I'm going to play one note. We're going to let this note ring from the very beginning until the very end when it's done vibrating. During that time, let's try and be aware of how it makes us feel, okay? What images does it bring up to us? We're not trying to invoke these things. What we're really trying to do is just to listen to the vibration. We want to be at one with it from the beginning of the note until the very end. But we're going to find that there's a lot of stuff that happens in between. What is that? What are those things that come up into our mind? So let's try that once. So obviously it's difficult to hear maybe with the microphone how much is coming through. But what I was doing then is I was still breathing, still feeling my breath, not thinking about my breath, and using that same analogy to the music. Let me not think about this note and what it means and all of this stuff or what I have to do. Can I just appreciate the note from the beginning until the end? If something came up, write it down, because this is the deeper part of yourself that is trying to tell you what you feel about music. So before we keep going, this is an interesting point. Our ability to hear things never ends. Whether we hear something that is good or something that is bad, our ear still hears the same way from the very beginning. What I mean is that there's a difference between how we truly hear something as a listener and if we're actually listening to the listener's opinion of the music, right? We want to start opening that up so that we are not listening to the listener's opinion of the music. Rather, can we just listen to the music? And that's the first exercise. One note with the pedal from the beginning until the end. And like me with this, having this whole cycle to do it, the exercise is to do it with a full scale, right? So, but you want to hold the second note, hold the third note, hold the fourth note, and so on. And it'll probably take you about, who knows, even 12 minutes. But there you have it. Already you have an exercise of how to use music and meditation into one. Because when you finish doing that exercise, you will have still done your meditation and you would have somehow practiced. But you're starting to build a deeper relationship with the notes. Right? The difference between me going to a piano and just, right? Just, I'm not even really thinking about it, or starting the day by creating a connection with the music. So that's the first exercise. If anyone wants a recording of me playing this on my piano, please send it to me. There are other things. If you're a musician, you can do it on your guitar or on your trumpet. The difference of it, obviously, it's like a long tone, a musical meditation long tone. Play the note, focus on the breath, and what comes up. That's exercise number 1. Exercise number 2, and this is the last one, and then we're going to wrap up this class. This particular meditation, people use other humans to inspire them to do it. And you would normally meditate on 3 different people. The first one is you focus on someone that you really love. Your mom, your dad, your lover, an artist that really inspires you. And you just picture them. Now remember, your eyes are not closed. They're opened slightly. You know, you're seeing these things, but you're still aware of where you're at in the world. You're not disappearing into another realm. You are present. However, you feel all these wonderful feelings about this person or this thing. Notice how that makes you feel. The second person you think about is just someone that you know. Maybe you don't even really interact with them that much, but you just know them. They're cool. It's just someone that you know. And the third one is someone that you think you don't like. I'm saying think you don't like because what you're going to realize is that there is no such thing as liking or not liking a person. It is you listening to the listener that lets you know how you think you feel about someone. And we're going to do the same thing here, but with music. So, take a song and don't pick something that's too long, but that's because that'll be an exercise for another time. Pick a song that you like that is 2 to 4 minutes long, that you love. You love this track, whatever it is. You think it's beautiful, you think it's fun, you think it's got a nice solo. The second song is something that, it's cool. You don't have to listen to it every day. You don't hate it. It's okay. And then the third song you pick is something that you don't like. The first part of this second exercise is really being aware of why you are picking these 3 songs. Why do you like that track so much? Is it because that you enjoyed it with someone that you at a show? Why don't you like a track? Is it because someone told you that it wasn't good? So really start being aware of why you like and you don't like things about music. Are they truly your opinions? Or do you hear something at the back of your head telling you, well, that wasn't good because so on and so on? So once you have picked your 3 tracks, you sit down back into your meditation that you were at before. Your position, I mean. Start reconnecting with the breath. In the mechanism, start letting it happen. Whatever needs to come in and out, let it happen. And then eventually things will start to quiet down. This could take 5-6 minutes. Then you play the first song. The song that you love. The song that you play every day. However, the goal is not to think about what you are listening. This goes both ways, whether it's good or bad. Because sometimes thinking good things while you're playing is still not truly listening to the music. For instance, if someone is playing a passage and in their mind they're thinking, wow, I'm playing really good, that is no longer playing for the music. Now you're listening to the listener again, right? So whilst you're listening to this music, can you still just listen to it without saying in your mind, that was good because I enjoyed that because? Can you try to just listen to it from the beginning until the end? There's going to be a point when you listen to it where your brain thinks about something. When that happens, you stop the song and you write that down to that track, and then you start again. Listen, listen, listen. Oh, something came up. Oh, that song reminded me of this person. Boom, you write that down and you start again. Your goal is to make it through the entire song by just feeling the song, right? We are not identifying the song and putting into words, oh, I like this because I could do this and that. No, we are just enjoying the song. And we're going to do the same thing with the song that we feel partial about, and the same with the song that we don't like. So with the song we don't like, oh, I thought that was out of time. What does that mean, out of time? Boom, you're right. I thought that was out of time. Start again. Oh, I didn't like that because I didn't think someone was in tune, blah, blah, blah. Or here's maybe a less musical term. Oh, man, this song reminds me of that time I was alone. So you can start discovering that, are we truly enjoying music, or are we listening to ourselves before we listen to the music? So that's where we're going to be going. And that's the second exercise. If you're interested, please, whether you send it to the Yoga Piano or to me or to the chat, send me your email so I can send you a little bit of a recap of what I'm talking about and a form so that you can write down your thoughts about this. And I'll also send you a track with the piano if you don't have one. And that's pretty much the first introduction class of the type of things we'll be talking about in this class. Something that I feel so strongly about, something that's helped me with music, and something that I'm still learning and trying to understand every day. It's meditations with music. And I will finish out this, we're playing one more little sing song. So let's see what I decide to do today. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And let me know. Send me an email. Send me anything. And I'll send you the stuff so we can start being more in tune with the true music that is happening. And let's keep learning. Thank y'all so much.